Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Intro on the Exhale podcast. We're still going with that, I guess. I am your dutiful commissioner, Neal here with
Joe Willoughby here.
And the first overall first place team in the West, the Generals Moose Knuckle.
We've always considered the West a weaker conference. Very, very much strong Eastern Conference NBA vibes.
Yep.
So
great ear. Great ear.
Enjoy. I'm just kidding.
Rude.
Alrighty. So for tonight's schedule, we are gonna do a nice little recap of Week 9. We're gonna take a gander over the recent waiver wire pickups. We're gonna do league power rankings in tiers. We'll take a look at the Week 10 matchups and give our predictions, and we'll do a little bit with Joe's fortune and review. I actually didn't read that on the agenda before. I don't know what that means, so I'm excited for that myself.
You should be.
Awesome. So let's go in right to the Week 9 recap. You know, we have a screenshot here, so I'm just going to go with this order that as it's listed. And the first one is Jacob with 108.08 points, losing to our dutiful co-host, Joe Willoughby, who scored 120.6 points. And it looks like a sixth of those were Cooper Kupp.
As always.
Per tradition. Alan, you have any thoughts on this matchup here?
I mean, Jacob needs some running backs. And I hate to say it because you guys know how the last episode went for the podcast, but I'm going to start it already. I think this might be the fastest. So put the timer on, folks, because I'm going right for it. Jacob, if you need a running back, I have 4 of them in the top 10. I'm down to make a deal. That's really the weakness right now. I mean, he's got James Robinson on the bench, obviously injured last week. J.D. McKissic on bye. Zach Moss, uncharacteristically low. I think the Jacksonville game, if we're talking NFL, was probably the biggest surprise. A 9-6 nail biter in which Jacksonville actually won and beat Buffalo. So not only opens the door a little bit for the Patriots to sneak up in the AFC East there, but also Jacob now falls to below 500 at 4-5. So obviously that one was tough there, but Tyreek Hill also kind of underperformed there. Pittman Jr. has been having a great season. You love to see at least 14.5 out of Diggs there on again the ugly game. Packers defense surprisingly playing well against Kansas City there. Unfortunately, I don't think they got the win. But Joe's team looked pretty good. The Saints game was a big surprise there, right? So that was probably his lowest scoring team. Some nice depth here, good fill-ins. The running backs, I guess the question outside of Cook is, how much are they really going to do, right? Booker, Montgomery, Hunt,
Jacob really gave me a run for my money towards the end of Sunday night, and it was all because of whatever the hell a Pat Freiermuth is. I think Jacob picked him up like middle of the day Sunday, and he popped off for 21 points. And I was winning comfortably before all that happened.
Pat Freiermuth has won me so much money this year. Just so much money this year.
Great pickup on Jacob's part. I mean, he was one of the guys that I was going between as well, needing a tight end fill-in for the week, and that was just fantastic. I think he had 2 touchdowns, good yardage, great to see.
Yeah, and I mean, my running backs both scoring 15.2 points. I wouldn't have won if both of those were extremely solid because
it's very cute.
Yeah,
agree. You got lucky with the Christian Kirk touchdown, I think, as well. That kind of helped, or rushing. I think he had a throwing or a rushing touchdown or something.
He threw for 33
Yep.
yards. I think he made it to the goal line and almost got in. That would have been huge.
Gotcha. So
he didn't make it in.
That was an uncharacteristic 16 there on a week where DeAndre Hopkins is out. But no, I mean, nice win, Joe. I think you as well. You're also first place in your division now, so congratulations.
It's nice being at the top, sir.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate seeing you on the other side over there. It's a good view to be looking at.
Yes, sir.
On the opposite side of this, though,
I want to interject here. You said Christian Kirk was uncharacteristically productive with Hopkins. Christian Kirk has been good. I've liked Christian Kirk.
I was almost kind of surprised he was available. I was going over his stats because I kind of just had a feeling I need a replacement
he's like Mecole Hardman who catches the ball. He's on a high-powered offense. He's the second or third wide receiver. So he only has 2 bad weeks. One of them is actually He's had one bad week. How did you get him
I don't know. I got him middle of
for
the week
free? I'm
last
kinda
week,
jealous
and
of
he
him. Pretty good.
middle of the week
Huh.
last week, and it just seems like he has kind of like a high floor. Like it's kind of like he's constantly putting up like 9 to like 13 pretty consistently.
I actually wouldn't be offended in certain matchups if you played both him and Hopkins, but
It's in play this week. And we can
that'd
probably
actually be
get into
kind of
that.
interesting. I'd be sad if Zach Ertz got all the touchdowns, but if he doesn't, you'd be in good shape. Move on to the next game.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's flip the script going from the top of the mountain. Let's look at the bottom. I think last week was the two
it was the
last
toilet
place teams
bowl.
that we have, the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
I pictured a
So,
squirt gun fight. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. So
knives.
I think if I look at this, I believe correctly, lowest scoring game of the week across the league.
Oh, 100%.
So
I don't even think we had to
not
look.
really the best offensive production that we've seen from either team. Nick just kind of squeaked it out because I think Lasky had a bunch of single digits. AJ Brown with a 9.2 going up against Jalen Ramsey for a majority of the night. DJ Moore against the New England D. Conklin was a nice showing. Projected 9, got 9.5. I saw that as a waiver wire fill-in last week, so that was a great pickup. CD Lamb, uncharacteristic. I think that Denver game, anybody who watched a little bit of it would agree. Yeah, that was just atrocious on both sides of the ball. 3 sides if you count special teams. I mean, that was just all around bad.
As someone with Cowboys on like 3 teasers, I was not happy. I was not happy with that.
Yeah, and you hate to see Greg the Leg there with a nice juicy 0 for the last. So, that really doesn't help. I mean, at least Nick just had a really good day. His guys, showed up at their floor, arguably. Robert Woods probably had the best day. Travis Kelce, as expected, 17.8 points. Justin Tucker with a nice 12-pointer there. Double digits will win.
All around sort of mediocre day for Nick, but sometimes, better to be lucky than good. That's all he needed. Not one player exceeded 18 points, but he didn't need his players to exceed 18 points because Lasky's team just shit the bed.
Yeah. And I'm picturing kind of the reactions of both players here. Like Lasky really just like stressing out about all the players, and then Narc playing Crash Bandicoot or something.
I also like that you said, rather be lucky than good, because I think another couple of teams, speaking of luck than good, if we look at Diego and what the general had last week, for somebody who talks a hell of a lot in Discord, a big yikes. I mean, this man barely outproduced Nick, who is one of the worst teams that we have in the league. Although his roster, looking at it, seems to be coming together a little bit, even though he has the.
You're talking about Nick or Diego?
Diego went for 140 this week, my man.
No, I was talking about Nick, in that the fact that the general put up barely as many points as Nick did,
Gotcha.
just 3 points more. So as one of the lesser teams in the league, if you will.
I don't like Nick's team. I don't like it one bit.
So, Diego, good week. He seems to think that Chubb and Taylor will stop me when he faces me down the season. So we'll see what that looks like. But, still rocking 4 of his starters as the Patriots. I mean, I hope I get him on a week that they play somebody good.
Inferior tight end every week. Like, he just refuses to pick up Hunter Henry. He's no.
I mean, I understand that he had some buys too, right? Evans was on buy, Brady was on buy, so his usual go-tos are out. Is
he worried he can't handle the infinity gauntlet that would be Jacoby Myers, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Damian Harris, along with Patriots defense?
I mean, Jacoby Myers hasn't scored a touchdown once in his career, so I don't really understand what the fantasy value is there. You're playing the floor,
I think it's the how many targets is he? Oh wow, he hasn't even had like the number of targets I thought he would. I was kind of expecting
it
him to have,
hasn't been
8+.
It really hasn't been as much as what it was in recent years. So, I mean, obviously he's winning, he's 5-4 now, above 500. He's tied for second in the West.
Yeah, we should go over their game. So Diego beat Nate Graham 140.19 to 115.64.
I want to say Nate got kind of fucked over by Aaron Jones scoring 5 points. They super leaned on AJ Dillon that game. So
Jarvis
soup
didn't
for you.
help him either.
That game was also like very similar to the Bills game. Also like a very low scoring. I think it was like 15-10. Like not a ton of opportunity for fantasy output, and Jarvis just couldn't. He was blanketed. Like he's their only receiver. He's their only receiver. As the new owner of Donovan Peoples-Jones, I don't want to say he's the only receiver, but
well, I mean, I also think we should take into consideration as well. Let's look at some of the roster moves that the General made, right? George Kittle, 20.1 points on the bench. Emmanuel Sanders against Jacksonville,
I didn't realize he did that.
10.5 points on the bench. So some of the production that he would have had, he chose to ride the pine, and I think it cost him.
I think, General, it looks like you can rest easy because I even think with Kittle and Sanders in, the point differential doesn't get you to the W, so you can sleep easy tonight. I'm pretty offended that you didn't start George Kittle, though. I feel like if he was there, if he was healthy, that's a player you were going to be. That's a player you don't sit. That's pretty offensive. To wrap up this matchup, Diego, for the love of God, drop Jonnu Smith and just pick up Hunter Henry. You'll score like 5 to 6 more points a week.
I think he's trying to will production into existence. We've all been there.
It seems that way. It really does. Next game. The next game is
Let's talk about yours, Neal, because I think going into it, I asked you, how are you going to feel if Edwin beats you? That connection is so strong. And lo and behold, even with starting Tua, who was announced on Saturday night that he wasn't going to play.
Unbelievable. I think Joe Mixon just like heard me talking shit for the last like year and a half about him and just like finally was like, you know what? That's enough. I'm going to show Neal that he should have not have talked shit about me. Not that he's actually good. I want to make it clear. He did not show me that he's actually good. He showed me that he can get 2 touchdowns and actually have a decent game. And then
Devonta Smith has the best performance of his young career as well. 5 for 116 and a tutty on 6 targets. I mean, 22.6 fantasy points. That's
the famous last words, Alan. We were talking on Sunday morning, and you said, Asante Samuel Jr.'s out. Devonta Smith might have a game. My famous last words, if only he had a quarterback that could throw him the ball. Why?
Jalen shows up.
The Bengals only scored 2 touchdowns, and Joe Mixon was responsible for both of them. Am I interpreting this correctly?
Yeah, that was an all-around bad game. I mean, the Browns just kind of drubbed on them for majority of it. Great for Browns fans. City of Believeland was up on that one. But, Neal, listen, I think for what it's worth, your team, little surprising. Henderson, I know he had an injury during that game. So he was out for a few drives, then went back in, 8.8 points, uncharacteristic in my opinion. Thielen as well against Baltimore. I know they have a good secondary, so I'm not surprised that the production was held low.
0 points going into the fourth quarter. 0 points going into the fourth quarter.
That's tough.
Frustrating.
I mean, on the positive though, we are in Keenan Allen season. So I love the 22.4 there. I think that's fantastic. Najee did great for you. McCaffrey didn't look necessarily that bad coming back from injury, although I'm surprised they didn't run him more. I felt like he was on not necessarily a snap count, but a target count. They weren't looking at him that much, but good that he's back, and that's a big boost for the team. We'll see what happens with AB. I don't know if you saw Bruce Arians' comments, but he said, I got an AB. I don't need an OBJ.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Nothing like letter play. Yeah, I mean, if the Rams weren't like perplexingly terrible, you win this game.
Yeah, I honestly, I went into that Saturday or Sunday night matchup like super confident. And then
you were.
Stafford had negative points, like I think going into the second half. Like there was way too much Sony Michel. That's how I knew Henderson was hurt, because no one actually wants to play Sony Michel. Like I was like, this is inexplicable. Like there's no reason to do this. Something must be wrong with my boy. And there was.
I did something to my boy.
And my punter apparently did so poorly for the Jets that he is cut. He's no longer on the Jets. So I have to find a new one of those. Not too happy about that.
Which is funny because I think his average yards is like second or third in the league or something like that, according to his Twitter picture. Whatever he tweeted about leaving the Jets, not only do I think he was ecstatic about it occurring, but I also think in some regards he's going to get signed somewhere else. So we'll see what happens with him.
That, part of it is the Jets want to lose. They're like, shit, guys, we can't win again. And this punt, we need a punter that will muff some punts. Like Morstead isn't gonna muff some punts. We need a worse punter.
So sometimes length isn't everything, folks.
And on that, speaking of length not being everything, Alan, let's take a look at your.
I mean, Brendan just doesn't have the length, plain and simple. At the end of the day, you know, Cortland Sutton didn't do what I thought he was going to do. I had Jerry Jeudy in all week and then tinkered on a Sunday morning and threw the Sutton in, and that wasn't the right decision. I think Sutton's going to bounce back. You know, I'm not
tinkered. I like that.
I'm a little surprised about the down put, but I think it'll be okay. Same thing with Mike Williams. I think both of them will be fine. You know, Brendan, obviously, Chase Edmonds going down really kind of helped me. Devontae Adams as well, although I think the target share was great from Jordan Love. You know, obviously just the connection wasn't there. So, you know, Beasles with the 11 points, that's a lucky fill-in. You know, Michael Carter, obviously from Thursday night, that didn't go out as planned. Starting 3 running backs, you know, you're going to get what you're going to get. So, you know, 124.38, you know, 138.18.
I noticed you skip over Darren Waller here, put up 16.2, and I vaguely remember you shitting on the trade last week. So have your thoughts changed on the Darren Waller situation?
Well, no, I mean, first of all, he's not as injured anymore, so I think his production is obviously rising, but I still think you take a look at Brendan's wide receivers, and he has no depth. Devontae Adams is his star. You know, he used to have Terry McLaurin here, so you fill that in. You know, then your flex, you're looking at, you know, a wide range of different options. So his whole team is different with just one position swap, which is what that trade was. And
I do think that Cole Beasley is good until Dawson Knox comes back, which I believe might be this week. So Cole Beasley's expiration on this nice run of 21, and 11's not great, but again, that was a game where the Bills didn't score a touchdown. So
I mean, it looks like Beasley is questionable for this week for awful politics. No, I'm kidding. It looks like he has ribs issue. Yeah.
Okay, ribs. Yeah, okay.
So I listen, at the end of the day, there can only be one team atop the West, and right now it's me.
Let's
Brendan, very brief jaunt on the mountaintop.
It was great. What a week it was. It was probably one of my favorite weeks.
I had probably the highest scoring fantasy player of James Conner on my bench, and I still beat Brendan, who was first place at the time. So
that was his career high and influenced directly because Brendan's player went down. I think it's fair that you benched him. I think it's fair.
You know, didn't hurt him, beat him on my own. That's what I'll say. I'll see you in the playoffs, buddy.
Well, we'll see. All right, what's the last game? Did we already go over?
I think that is all of them, which brings us to week 10. So I think if we want to, we could take a look at what we have from the waiver wire, which processed earlier this morning, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock a.m.
So did you stay up for it, Alan?
No, I did not. That's a little bit past my bedtime. So
I also didn't stay up for this, but it's way past my bedtime.
Interesting, I think, trends for the league. 4 people going after Chris Carson. I think a couple of people went after Aiyuk. I think 1 or 2 people went after Logan Thomas.
We talk about how Lasky has just consistently gotten like the best running back every single week, like the best, like, hey, this running back is now like the running back you need to get on waivers, and yet it hasn't helped him.
Isn't that what happens as the worst team with inverse waiver order?
At some point, though, it flips.
It would make an impact. No, it doesn't, dude. It's always.
I don't think it has ever flipped.
It's always
has. No. What
I don't
what
know
I'm
if
saying
it's
is
ever flipped.
What I mean is, at a certain point, you get like the best player for a certain number of weeks in a row that your team is no longer the worst because it improves based off of those good players you got. As someone who started 0-4 and won a league, that's exactly how I did it. There were just very good players those first 4 weeks that I was able to get. But the thing that confuses me is Lasky's team hasn't gotten better despite him getting all these good players. It doesn't make sense.
So I think part of the problem here is I think I'm trying to count, and counting is difficult. There's either 4 or 5 teams who are only active on the waiver wire. So it doesn't. Yeah. So if everyone was active, the folks with the best records wouldn't get the players that they're getting.
That's very true. That's very true.
Well, and also in comparison for Lasky, I think he's on the bottom end of the points for. So in terms of his matchups, even though he is getting these good players, the injuries have really hurt him enough that, the production hasn't been there when they've started, and that's cost him points for. You need points to win the matchup. I
also feel like Lasky has had a surprise. Like normally, like you're like, oh, my player's gonna be out. Like I can play someone else. I feel like an inordinate amount of Lasky's injuries have occurred like in the first quarter. Like, there goes this guy. Like now Lasky just has like 3 points or something. Like, sad, very sad.
For sure.
On to Russell Gage, I suppose. Russell Gage I feel like General had Russell Gage before.
I'm really high on this Russell Gage. Dude, I was scrolling him, I think like midnight last night. I was like, oh my God, I want this dude so bad. Just like replacing an injured Calvin Ridley. Like this dude is going to get reps. And I was very jealous that Nate got him.
I mean, I think on a personal level, I would temper expectations a little bit. I like the pickup for the General, especially trying to fill the void of Calvin Ridley, who he has.
Yeah.
So he's hurting on the wideout, and he wants to stay stocked on that offense. But, I think there's a lot of mouths to feed down in Atlanta for what it's worth now.
Pitts. I'll tell you who they're not feeding.
Oh, actually, no. Very true.
They're feeding him. He's just not eating it. I think that's a better way to put it. Like they're throwing him all the food, and Pitts is just like getting it on his face and not eating it. Like, he drops so many balls. I'm just so frustrated with Pitts.
And what am I missing about Rashad Bateman? It looks like, Neal, you went for him, but it looks like Edwin got him.
So I liked him too. Alan, you can give your logic. My logic is like they don't have many receivers in Baltimore. They have a good offense. He's getting targets. It's him or Marquise Brown. Why not? The reason I didn't put him higher on my waivers, though, is because that offense doesn't really like to throw that much.
Right.
Lamar Jackson is a running back, so like...
Oh my God. The ultimate zag. Originally it was a zig, but now it's turned into a zag, which is just what you want to see.
I'm going to try to have us recover from that drive-by shooting of Lamar Jackson. But listen, this is just what I'll say. I think for me,
Lamar Jackson.
I think for me... Yeah, well, do you have any evidence of this?
There's a database that my people have access to that you.
Okay. Well, anyways, I think for Rashad Bateman, honestly, listen, here's the deal. My team is so damn good. This is just a depth fill-in for me.
Oh my God, my cock is just so long.
Am I worried about playing Neal, which we'll talk about? I think, maybe. But listen, like, I kind of agree with Neal. Bateman, not really sure how he's going to play out in the offense. He was out earlier in the year with the injury, so I think a lot of it is he's figuring out himself in the NFL. He's figuring out the speed of the game. Is he trusting the leg?
Trying to find himself.
Alan's just trying to help him get there.
I think he's worth a stash. So I was willing to pick him up. I had a couple of open spots. I picked up Bateman. I was going for Chris Carson. He was drafted to the Generals Moose Knuckle. I've added it and dropped him similar to Marquez Callaway quite a bit. And just unfortunately didn't get him this week. So, beat Neal to the punch on the wideout, but lost the running back overall.
Yeah. I think it's okay. I think Chris Carson going to Lasky is very apt though, because he's very injury prone. So I don't think you wanted him, Alan. I think you're good. Which takes us to Brandon Aiyuk, who I am actually very thankful that Joe, you got him, because if I had to get him back, I would not want to start him. It would just be the most frustrating thing in the world. So.
Yeah, I felt like I had to get him. I couldn't justify not getting him. I'm not super excited about it, though. It seems like he's a wide receiver 1-2. I don't know. So I'm hoping he'll get the volume.
He was like one of the hypiest wide receivers. Like,
that's a pretty hypey name. Just
towards the end of last year, I think he was.
Sixth round. Yeah, towards the end of last year, and dude, so much preseason hype. Him, Calvin Ridley, so much preseason hype this year. And like he's starting to get more targets mainly because other wide receivers on the Niners are getting hurt. It sort of feels like Shanahan has been like forced to play him and give him like room and rope versus like him like earning it more so. Like there has been like some language like, oh, he's doing better at practice and whatnot, but like he's a first round pick. Like you don't hear this type of talk with guys like T. Higgins or J. Jaff, you know, like it's very odd type of talk to have for like a first round wide receiver that's not named in Kilharry. So
Wow.
it's really interesting like what's happening to Aiyuk. I think that he has space and he has the potential, but it's just like it's never like a comfy play. Like I would be way more excited about playing Rashad Bateman than Brandon Aiyuk.
Would you really? That's deeply upsetting. Okay.
Because I know Bateman has a floor. I know he's going to get 5 to 8 targets. I know that 3 to 4 of those are going to be deep shots. Brandon Aiyuk, like his quarterback is Jimmy G, who like can barely take what's given to him at this point. The whole like concept of the Niners offense has always been like yak, 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 which basically means we're going to throw you a short pass and we're going to make the receiver do cool athletic things because we can't throw it deep. That's what yak basically means in the context of the 49ers. So I'm also like a pessimist 49ers fan, so that could also be another piece. Like you might want to like talk to someone who's not as jaded and has watched every single second of this shitty 49ers team.
Sure.
Yeah, I will say too, you know, Joe, folks, put another number on the counter. If you want to make a trade, I'd be interested in talking. So
I don't know. Something about the Bateman
happens.
thing, I'm not buying it at all.
I
could be wrong.
It's fine.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, yeah, Allen has plenty of good wide receivers.
I'd like to think I do.
Denver ones, you know. Even though they were both outscored by Brendan's shitty
who was
wide
the Denver
receiver
quarterback
on the Broncos last week.
Teddy Bridge.
Teddy
is he gloves. Still Teddy two gloves? He's still rocking the 2 gloves.
He I believe, very much so is. It gets cold in Denver.
He hasn't upgraded to 3.
No, he's still rocking
the alliteration would still work with.
That'd be badass if he just wore a 3rd one somewhere. Oh man, we should write a letter.
Unprecedented.
What do you guys think about overall? I think, Neal, you alluded to this earlier in our discussion, but making these pickups, right? Do people seem to be making pickups based on where their team needs, or are they picking up just what's best available? Because we're going to talk about the power rankings a little bit. And, you know, Neal, like you said, Lasky's had all these top waiver wire pickups, and points for don't necessarily play in his favor, but his roster minus the injury should be pretty good.
Yeah, so to answer the first question, people in this league definitely just pick up people on waivers for what they need. I've seen countless, like I've woken up, you know, blurry-eyed to see what the fuck, why was a punter picked up before I picked up this wide receiver? Why was this defense picked up before I picked up this running back? Like, people, like, I don't want to call anyone out. Nate, I don't know why. I distinctly remember you've done this on a few occasions, like randomly like picking up a punter on bye instead of actually picking up someone valuable. Not to like
another drive by here.
Not to like maybe like show my hand or like strategies that I like to use too much, but like it's okay to drop your kicker or punter to pick up another position of value on the waiver wire and make those decisions later in the week. It's better to have that option than it is to
I
not.
agree.
So like
I agree.
I guess this kind of ties in.
Unless you have like Justin Tucker, right?
Right.
Unless you have a top 3, I completely agree with what you're saying. The basic premise of fantasy in a lot of ways are you need to take risk consistently. And if it's dropping arguably the least valuable position on your roster to have the option to consider that, why wouldn't you? Exactly. I completely agree, Neal.
Yeah.
So Neal, last week you brought up like I think we were talking about kind of like the quality of the free agency pool, and you brought up Boston Scott as a valid option, but he only scored like 4 points. Do you still feel similarly?
I do feel similarly in terms of like because in that specific case with Boston Scott, that was really like a case of prediction, and that the ghost of Jordan Howard got all of the work, which to me was very, very unexpected. I also hate Jordan Howard, so maybe I'm also jaded there.
Fair enough.
But I think in terms of like the numbers, like if you were to like project like, oh, Jordan Howard got 17 carries, like we sort of predicted Boston Scott to get like 12 of those. If you add 12 to Boston Scott's, I think he got like 4 carries. Would you be happy with a 16 carry running back that you got on waivers? Yes. Another example there would be Carlos Hyde. He got 21 carries. I would be ecstatic if I got a waiver running back who got 21 carries, and I think he got like 2 or 3 targets. Like, I'm also like a volume junkie though. Like I want like the 100 shots versus like the 1 dunk or whatever. And I just think
sorry, not to interject you too much
ahead.
here, but to counteract that. So I mean, Carlos Hyde. The interesting thing with Carlos Hyde, right? Wasn't James Robinson banged up? So I feel like in a lot of ways, yeah, we're taking the risk play of how is Carlos Hyde gonna do, but he's also, you know, you don't know what the volume is going to be. You hope it's going to be something, but going up against the Bills, you're really just playing for garbage time there, no?
I think, well, yeah, you are playing for garbage time, which would spell like a negative game script for Hyde. But I think where I sort of like approach it from is like, oh, you know, he's a starting running back on an NFL team. How often are you going to get a starting running back that a decent volume, not like a starting running back like a Devonta Freeman? Like if 10 plus carries, some targets, to me, that's great for a weekly fill-in. You hope they get the touchdown and have a good week. If not, you settle for like the 6 to 10 points or whatever, and are happy with that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I definitely view like waiver wire as like shorter term, if it like plugins, and also like just filling in your needs. But like, I definitely think like if your need is a punter, you don't get that early. Like you take the dart throw, and worst case, you drop that dart throw and you pick up a punter on like Saturday night. I now have 3 tight ends, for example. I can't even play 3 tight ends. If anyone needs a tight end, I am here, and I am not married to any of them. Any of them. You can have
plug
any of
for
them.
Neal.
So
okay.
Interesting.
You get a tight end. You get a tight end. Everyone gets a tight end. I'm really happy with playing any of them. To me, they're all the same. Yeah.
You don't really think that. Come on. Now.
I kind of think that Goddard has the. I'm not going to get into too deeply.
I've been pronouncing it Godare. Is it not Godare?
I think it's Goddard, but Godare is really fun.
I think it's Goddard as well, but Godare is a good interpretation of it.
Super fun. Isn't Godare like a French pronunciation? It's kind of funny that you went with like the French pronunciation.
Godare.
For like a guy whose first name is Dallas. Delas Godare. That's great.
Texas.
I love that.
Texas.
Moving down the list here, the Eno Benjamin had a lot of hype in the fantasy circles that I was tuning into, and I actually thought that it was Ito Benjamin, like Ito Smith from the Falcons, but I guess it's Eno. I didn't even look him up. I didn't want to.
For the next pod, I'll make a top 10 list of the best fantasy names I see on here.
Well, I don't think anybody did pick him up, right?
Oh, another one, Raheem Mostert. Like
Mostert.
Mostert?
Yeah,
no,
Mostert. No, he's out for the rest of the year though. Like he's so out that like I haven't even opened like my jersey T-shirt that I have from him. Like I actually might return it. He might not be it on the Niners next year.
Did you get like the jersey insurance?
I didn't because it was just a T-shirt, but I can still return it up until like I think like for 2 more weeks. Yeah, I'm not gonna get. Yeah, I wouldn't get a running back jersey. That's risky. I would have to get like a lineman or a quarterback.
Raheem Mostert.
Alan, if you want Eno Benjamin, he's all yours. I know you like having the handcuff because from what I heard, I think they don't want to run James Conner into the ground. So James Conner probably won't get 40 points again. You'll probably get like more like 20 and 8 from Eno Benjamin, depending on who gets a touchdown until Edmonds comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Edmonds is going to be on the IR for at least 3 weeks, and then we're going to have to see. So there's value in Connor. You know, I'm not expecting 40, but I'll take 20, 100%, and we'll see where it goes.
Connor. Oh, because you got Carlson. Oh, I see. I'm kind of surprised that you stayed with Gano for what was it, 2 weeks, Joe?
Yeah, he seemed to do pretty well for me.
Oh man, did that mean the Giants are doing well? The Giants never come up on red zone, so I actually like don't follow their games that closely.
They actually just score 80-yard touchdowns every single time. It's actually
Oh
pretty
man,
incredible.
yeah, he had 14 points last week. That's quite good. He had an 18.
I mean, nobody
Yeah.
really wants to watch a Giants game anyways, so
man.
I don't think you're missing much.
Just Alan and his hatred of the Giants. Anyone have Evan Engram in this league? Sorry, just super random. I just have to check.
Neal's favorite tight end.
Oh no, no one does. He has had double digits the last 3 weeks though. Hey, here's a hot tip for the whole league. Don't pick him up. Don't chase points with him. And chasing points with Evan Engram does mean chasing 10 points. Yeah. All right.
True.
And then for the last couple ones here, we have kicker, and then oh my God, Joe, you're back on the Bucks defense, huh?
I can't quit them. Just hook them directly into my vein.
That's funny. I had him for a while. It's good to see they're back reunited with who drafted him. You love to see it.
we did the draft recap, and I noticed like how early I picked them. I was like, oh God. So I'm just like chasing good money after that here. Yep.
Yeah, the history is like you drafted him in the 13th round, then you dropped him, then I picked him, then I dropped him, and they're back.
I mean, 2 weeks ago they put up 22 fantasy points here.
They
3
did.
interceptions, 4
I won that
sacks.
week. It was great.
Last time they played, they let up 30. So we shall see. Washington's not good, right? Washington football team.
No, Washington's not good.
Excellent.
They're not good.
There we go. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
And Bucks are off bye, so they should be prepared. Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. That was the waiver wire for this week. Any actually real quick, let's see if any other moves were made since then.
There haven't been.
Ooh, you're downplaying my Russell Wilson pickup at like 7 in the morning.
That's a huge move.
Thank you,
Joe, with possibly the best backup quarterback right now.
Oh wow, I didn't even see that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wow.
And with what I would say is an exemplary upcoming schedule. At Green Bay, Arizona, but that's at home. But then they got Washington, San Francisco, Houston. Ooh, a nice little run for Russell Wilson's finger to come back on.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is one of the few benefits of having insomnia at like 5:30 in the morning is you get to randomly pick up Russell Wilson from the waiver wire. Yeah, I mean, if anyone
6:30.
Was it 6:30?
6:30.
Yeah, and then
I will say the interesting thing with Wilson, right? Obviously, we'll see how the finger holds up, but Joe has Pat Mahomes, who in this league right now, I believe, according to ESPN, is the 4th ranked overall quarterback. So I mean, this isn't a 2-quarterback league as far as I know. So leads to the question: who are you going to play, Joe?
Oh, I play Pat Mahomes every time. And Russell Wilson is kind of like strutting my shit. And if anyone's wanting to trade, let me know.
Wow. Talking about me, and you guys are just making the plug now, huh?
I honestly think there are valid opportunities to play Russell Wilson over Patrick Mahomes based on what Mahomes has shown us the last 3 or 4 years.
I wouldn't disagree. I just think the concern with Wilson is let's see how the finger holds up in a game first before you start him, right?
That's where I'm at.
If he's coming back, like honestly, like look, Mahomes the last 3 weeks, 7 points, 16 points, 12 points. Joe Burrow did way better than that. Jalen Hurts has done way better than that. Like,
true.
Teddy Bridgewater has done way better than that. Like, it's just the name at this point of Mahomes. But like, at a certain point, you gotta like separate the name from the production. I almost feel like we gotta wait and see Mahomes come back and perform at this point.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost kind of I think I'll see kind of what Russell Wilson if his finger holds up, if like the wide receiver and running back core can kind of support the production, and then
Carson does, yeah.
Oh, that Lockett play is going to be nice with Wilson back if he can sling it deep.
You got to lock it in your pocket.
I do.
We'll see how that goes.
I do.
I definitely think that DK Metcalf is still by far the number 1 wide receiver on that team. That is an objective, unbiased opinion. I would much rather have DK Metcalf.
I have Tyler Lockett, and I think if we're talking about league teams overall, I'm one of the best.
They both have value. I'm just messing.
It sounds like Alan's trying to transition into the league power rankings here.
Yeah, that's what we're moving into right now.
That might be, and I think
These are nice charts. For the listeners here, there are some nice charts in our pod notes. I'll put them in the notes for the pod. You'll see them. There's some very nice charts.
I kind of whipped that up together.
Joe made that.
Yeah, I can kind of talk through them. It's currently right now. It's just kind of like league totals through. Was it week 9, right? I'm hoping to go back and kind of build it out week by week.
Oh wow, that's
kind of see some trending stuff here. But yeah, we're just kind of
all right
to go along with Alan's.
Let's go look through the league power rankings real quick. Oh shit, I just dropped it. Okay, sorry, I dropped a lacrosse ball. All right, so let's do the league power rankings, starting with the contenders. So I think the way that we're going to define this tier is basically the teams that we think have the highest chance of winning the league, basically. Like, we believe that these teams will be in the second round of the playoffs and beyond. I think I speak for everyone on this pod when I say this tier is everyone on this pod.
Yes,
sir. Alan and myself. I would actually put it in the order of, I hate to say this, Alan, Joe, and then myself.
Wow.
And I don't
unbiased.
Let's not let ourselves speak for our teams.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, that's fine. The one thing I will say is that I am below Joe solely because in terms of tiebreaker right now, Joe has beaten me once on the season. That being said, I think the team wasn't really what it was now, and I would be curious to see how another matchup went, but he does hold one over me at this moment.
From a records perspective, yes. From a power rankings, hey, where are we going to be at the end of the year perspective, I think your team holds the edge. The weakness here, I think, actually, ironically, from Joe's past talk, I do think it may be worthwhile to diversify at the quarterback position because you have Mike Williams. If that is your biggest concern, though, hey, can I upgrade from Justin Herbert? Your team is in very, very, very good shape.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like at first glance it looks like it's just kind of like just high ceiling guys, and if they pop off, like he's good to go. But it seems like he's kind of like limited the floor that he has, and just like all these players can like go off pretty consistently.
There are no low floor players on this team except Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Rashad Bateman. But quite frankly, those guys never have to be played. So it's really just there for depth. I think that the tight ends on this team are two of the strongest with the Hawk Strap and Dawson Knox. James Conner has temporarily inflated value, but that temporary is not like 1 week. That temporary, one of the weeks is a bye. That's kind of unfortunate. But I would say, at least until week 13, James Conner will own that backfield. Like, this team is pretty much a lock for the playoffs, in my opinion. It's just a question of Brendan possibly coming back and making it interesting on who gets the bye. That to me is the state of Alan's team.
Well, let's hit Neal's team quick. Alan, you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, we can tag team this one. Just an opportunity to see what Neal has here. Obviously, he doesn't have a punter right now, so that
jumped off the board
gap.
to me too.
You'll love to see Young Hoku. Neal really rides for his guys. Health overall, I think he's leaning a little bit running back heavy. A lot of the running backs are fill-ins. I really like Henderson. I think that's great, but D'Ernest Johnson, Mike Davis, AP.
D'Ernest Johnson, the only active running back for the Browns right now, who has been there for more than 5 days.
True. I do like the D'Ernest Johnson play this week, but again, that's right. It's a week-to-week play. Henderson is really the only depth you have there outside of McCaffrey and Harris.
The Mike Davis.
Wide receivers, your starters are great. AB, when he comes back, that's great. DPJ, you're never going to play him. So, your depth here, I don't think is as strong necessarily as what it could be.
If Thielen was good, I'd feel a lot better about my situation.
But yeah, I think you're fine overall, and I expect to see you in the playoffs with what this roster has now and what will be based on schedules for these guys moving forward.
Yeah, especially McCaffrey too. He's going to be a lot better than he was this week, where it seemed like Carolina was kind of like holding him back.
Absolutely. I would agree. And then Joe, I mean, looking at your team too,
Joe.
Man. Neal, I think Joe's team, the bench is tough to look at.
It's tough to look at, but it actually produces. Like, you don't want to play David Montgomery. You don't want to play Devontae Booker. But they put up points. You don't want to play Brandon Cooks. You're afraid he doesn't know where he is. He's one more concussion away from not being able to drive himself home. But he gets points. It's pretty gross. Like, this is kind of like and he has the 2 Cooks 1 Cup. Like, he's doing good. Cooper Kupp honestly will single-handedly will this team to the. That alone is just such like. Oh, I can bank 20 plus points a week guaranteed, pencil it in on this spot, like an actual bona fide 20 points. We say 20 points about some players, but other than like CMC, Kamara, Cook, Kupp, I don't really see that many players that are actually 20 Adams. I don't really see that many players that are like bona fide, hey, guaranteed 20 plus points a week players outside of the quarterback range. As long as Cook, stays playing, doesn't land himself on the exempt list, I think this team will be in the playoffs. Could use an upgrade at tight end.
Yeah. If only I knew a guy who had 3 of them.
Yeah, there is a guy out there with 3 of them. Maybe give him a shout. Jared Cook, as everyone knows, I think is the least clutch player in football. Even when he does something that looks clutch, quite frankly, the team cannot win at that point because Jared Cook did something that seemed impactful. Tyler Higbee does weirdly treads
he's a good
water.
low end.
Treads the water, right? Like
he exactly. He's just gonna get you a float. It's a middling floor.
Yeah,
he's in 4 feet of water, just in
just standing there. Yeah.
The interesting thing with this team, Joe and Neal, I don't know how much you think of it is true. I almost wonder where is the production of the rest of the wideouts, right? Like Hopkins has had a couple of up and down games. Aiyuk, like we talked about, he's been good of late, but earlier in the season he wasn't that good. Cooks, you don't know what's going to go on.
I agree with that because I think what we're seeing here is the struggle of rostering 2 quarterbacks. Because if Russell Wilson, instead of being Russell Wilson, who I think we all agree has value, was instead a wide receiver, like a depth wide receiver, even if it was Rashad Bateman, I would feel better about this roster.
I agree.
I'm kind of surprised. Does anyone have Josh Gordon in this league? I'm kind of surprised.
No. Well, and we'll see what happens with OBJ too. I know he doesn't have the Chiefs. He does have the Chiefs on his final list, rather. So we'll see how that plays out. Personally, I think it's too crowded for him, so I hope he doesn't go to the Chiefs. But if he's just chasing rings, then that's probably a good place to go. The other options I heard were the Packers and the Saints, and I heard, as well as what Diego posted in Discord, that the Patriots made a pretty strong play at him within the late hours of the day.
They have. My favorite thing to look at with sort of where this player is going to land are the Vegas odds of his next team. And in this case, funnily enough, the Raiders are actually the shortest odds. And I just feel like OBJ is the most Raiders player really that they can find right now.
Big time.
That's hilarious. I kind of want OBJ to land there just oh man, that's gonna be this is gonna be a good store.
That's the best jersey you could possibly buy too. Is all right, what kind of OBJ jersey do I want? You want the freaking Raiders OBJ jersey.
And then from Raiders, that's 3-1 odds. From there it goes Saints, Ravens, Patriots, Rams, Bills, Colts, Niners, Packers, Titans. And I would actually say that beyond the Patriots or the Rams, the odds are getting into 8-1 to 10 to or 10-1 to higher. I don't see those likely at all. If I were you guys, I would not want him on my team. I would not be excited about OBJ on the Niners. If I were y'all, I would not be excited about him on the Patriots. But that's just me. I like the.
I would personally be excited for him on the Patriots.
Oh, hard not to be.
I think the Patriots, as usual, are struggling with receiving core and receiving depth. I mean, for God's sakes, we're running Nelson Aguilar down on a post route and hoping that he's going to catch it brick hands Aguilar. So, in some regards, I think we just need to take the shot. But I also think that some of the story about OBJ is a little misleading too. So
I agree. Did you guys see the report that the Packers lowballed them intentionally just to get their name out there, that they actually offered him something?
I did see that. Yep, I did see that.
Packers move, bro. Oh my God.
Man. So brutal.
I think we would all consider that, OBJ situation and him as a player as a wild card, which is also the name of our next tier of teams. I would sort of define this tier as teams that will likely make the playoffs, and if things break well for them, they could potentially make a run, but definitely like we don't see them as likely making the championship as those folks in the top. And in this tier, we have played the surging Diego, the soon-to-be West Coast-based Edwin, and I think there's a little bit of disagreement among the hosts here if Brendan belongs in this tier or the next tier down. But I think for the sake of this episode, we can place Brendan in the Wildcard Tier.
I mean, I actually kind of want to talk about that one for a quick minute because I might have changed my mind.
Okay.
I think Jacob has a better team than what Brendan is going to have down the stretch. If I look at this realistically, I think Brendan is like I talked about earlier, really going to struggle with that wide receiver depth, and some of that volatility is going to kill him down the line when there's going to be some tough matchups for some of his guys. In looking at Jacob's team, I think truly he gets maybe another running back in here, that's really solid, that's going to get him points every week, and maybe gives up a wideout perhaps, and then he's looking at arguably a playoff run. Gronk comes back and gets healthy.
I'm gonna spell this out for you, Jacob. Allen wants Stephon Diggs. Okay, that's what this is. This is what this is. All this is about. Allen wants Stephon Diggs, Jacob.
I mean, Jacob, if listen to the counter here. Here goes another one. Ding. If you want to make a trade, I'm down to talk. I like what you got here. I think you do need a running back. I think I have 4 of the top 10 running backs. So I would definitely be down to work something if you wanted to, but personally, I think you're a running back away, and that's the reason why I would swap him over Brennan.
Do not take James Connors for Stephon Diggs. I beg of you, do not do that deal. Come to me first. Talk to me. My door is open.
You can't talk about it with inside the league. No, there's none of that. But anyways, getting back to the topic here, I would like to propose moving Jacob in and bringing Brendan down.
I think that makes sense to me too. I'm looking at Jacob's team too. It makes a lot more sense. The insurgent Pat Fryermuth is just.
I like that pickup too on a late Sunday afternoon edition. That's fantastic.
He's probably just on the shitter, just adding Fryermuth.
I don't want to be a dick here, but I would actually put both Jacob and Brendan in the tier down after looking at both of their rosters closer.
So does that just mean that the general is the only dark horse?
No. The dark horse is the next tier down. There's only dark horses and duds left. So
apologies.
That would make this wild card tier just Diego and Edwin. And I think if you guys are okay with that, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
If we're thinking about this as a pyramid, this is very lopsided, just poorly constructed pyramid, but I think it makes sense here.
Well, and I think then while we're in this category, as it seems like we've kind of moved into the dark horses, the only team left that we really haven't analyzed and given a comment on is the Generals. I'm pulling it up right now. I think we mentioned this earlier, right? Calvin Ridley is down, so that kind of hurts his value a little bit.
He has a tight end in the flex right now, folks.
Khalil Herbert.
I think that's the move. I think that's the move for his roster, given the buys. Khalil Herbert, I actually think David Montgomery is going to rustle that job back.
I think so as well. I think there's going to be a timeshare or at least a large reduction. I mean, he had 1.3 fantasy points last week. So obviously not what you like to see. Devontae Parker is back on IR. We talked about the Russell Gage pickup. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't started Jarvis Landry in recent weeks since the trade. I'm not sure he did last week.
Fucked him. Yeah,
okay,
he got 4 points.
Yeah, that's tough. I think this week might be a little bit better against the Patriots' banged up secondary. It's still going to be a good game, but just looking at the Generals team here, I mean, it's really tough to be excited about this down the stretch. He has some talent.
Can I just say that
don't know.
all the players that Nate and I traded last week, they put up a combined, and those players were Henry Ruggs, no longer in the league. Mike Davis scored a little less than 3 points. Jarvis Landry, 4 points. Alex Collins, 4 points. Those 4 players that were involved in that trade scored about 10 points combined.
Yikes.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
That's pretty rough.
I think it's safe to say nobody won that trade.
Or like we all lost.
The listeners lost, the hosts lost.
Exactly.
It just wasn't a good display. Which I mean, yeah, there's not too much more that I have to say about the Generals team, honestly. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Aaron Jones, when will he truly be freed? I like Manny Sanders. I think I traded him Manny Sanders. George Kittle's fine. Gesicki, how long is he really going to hold this up? To me, Gesicki's starting to kind of turn him back into the Tyler Higbee that I thought he was going to be. So, you know, I'm not really expecting much out of him.
Home over here.
Yeah, the hairstyle is pretty something.
I think he's balding.
Well, he's almost blonde on top.
He is. It's interesting. Wow. I wonder if that's like
wild stuff.
Huh.
Is that Miami Sun?
Oh yeah. It's just like photovoltaic hair or whatever it is.
Wreak havoc on Edwin. Jesus.
All right, and that takes us, I think, to the last tier, which is duds.
Oof.
Duds / peasants / sad.
Not good candy.
Almond Joy tier.
Oh man.
I mean, truly F tier.
100 grand.
Now I will say Nick did end up beating me. I was on a bye week, I think. So.
Even a blind squirrel, Alan. Even a blind squirrel.
That's kind of the mentality that I had. I mean, he's rocking Derek Carr. He has Austin Eckler, so I think Eckler's great. But you know, the wideout core here is just. I mean, he still has Michael Thomas on his bench. You know, two defenses, Ronald Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, OBJ. I mean, he hasn't started Marquise Brown in a couple of weeks. You know, I'm just
good weeks.
Not really sure what this team is. 3-6 right now, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they are on a win streak, right? They won last week, so it's just the first game. So not much of a win streak, but...
Well, actually, no, they lost last week. Yeah, only one.
Nick won last week against...
Nick won last week against Lasky.
Not a win streak because he lost the week before.
Right.
He's on a win streak of 1.
He's on a win streak now. He's starting at 1, which is very generous, I think. But
he isn't on a losing streak.
No. But I don't think this team has enough down the stretch on player name alone. Yeah, he has 2 top 3 positions. Actually, if we're counting kickers and punters too, because they matter. He does have a top 5 kicker and the number 1 punter. So, but he's going to have to make some decisions here. He's got some buys.
To sum it up, I just think this team needs a shot in the arm.
This team just needs like some TLC, bro. Like drop Michael Thomas, pick up somebody else. Drop the second defense, pick up somebody else. Perhaps hold on to the punter. I don't even think you need to hold on to the punter. The VAR is not that much. Yeah, you go from the number 1 punter to like the number 3 punter. You lose what on average like 0.2 points per week, maybe. Like you'll be okay. There's a lot of room to like maneuver with this team, and it's just like in stasis, like just stuck.
Which is similar to Lasky's team, which is, I believe, the last team here.
Yeah.
And it truly is the most sad, just completely based on injuries.
Well, I'm going to be just in general a lot nicer to Lasky's team because I know the effort and the time and the commitment and the hustle,
I will say I think
sweat,
this
and the tears
team
that
could
Tom
still
man
be
puts in this
okay.
league.
I agree.
This team could still be okay. There could be a string down the stretch here where this team wins some games.
Upward
I don't think
mobility.
Derrick Henry is going to help him at all at any point for the rest of the season. I think he'll be back for the playoffs of IRL. Yeah. So, but I don't think, you know, Miles Sanders, do you even want him?
The Eagles hate him.
Question.
He doesn't need to keep him.
You know, I mean, a couple of these other guys here, Jeremy McNichols, you know, I think obviously the Titans showed that they trust AP. You know, Chris Carson, obviously the pickup there, he needs running backs, but you know, I think his wideouts are relatively good. You know, Waddle on the bench. We'll see what happens with Sterling Shepard. So I wouldn't be surprised.
This team is really like 4 wideouts and everything else is kind of trash. It's like kind of sad.
I still think he can be, but like he's upward mobile though. I picture him just like Will Smith, Pursuit of Happiness. Like right now he's crying in the bathroom homeless. Like he makes it in the end, you know what I mean? So prayers up for Lasky.
I think that he needs like a rebranding, like a new team name after one of his more successful players, perhaps, to turn it around. The 2 dads aren't doing or 2 brothers. All for
Dos Madres.
Is that dad? Is Padres dad?
Yes.
Because brother is hermano, I think. Yeah. 2 dads not going so hot. I don't know. There's some puns in these names that you can take, Lasky.
Yeah, maybe one more dad.
maybe Trespod. Okay, that's what we're missing. We're missing a third dad. Awesome. Nice. So I guess at this point, let's go into a preview of next week's games before we bid y'all adieu. So looking at this week's matchups,
Bringing me back
we
to
have
earth.
what I would say is the most awaited, the marquee matchup of the week, if you will, the General Moose Knuckles, owned by Alan Frauendorf, facing the fully staffed Young Host, still fully staffed after all these days. In this matchup, it will clearly be a battle of the Titans. There is no, easy win for either team, either side here. The initial line, as projected by ESPN, is Allen -6.5. How do you feel about that line, Alan?
I'm nervous. I do think that this is going to be another close matchup, similar to what I had with Brendan. I do think I'm going to be losing throughout the day, and I do think I will lose overall, even though the projections are tilted in my favor right now. This one has me a little nervous, just based on matchups, just based on what it means for both teams, depending on how the rest of my division shakes out. I'm only a game up. Neal, you're obviously chasing, so a win here would be huge for you.
Big for both.
Yeah, this is the marquee matchup of the week. I think we've had one every week. This one is it for me. Obviously, I'm a part of it, but I think as the league, this is one to pay attention to over the weekend.
And unfortunately, it will probably drag into a Monday because I have Matthew Stafford and Daryl.
No, this one's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
Awesome. So moving on, we have Joe versus Lasky. By the numbers, you would kind of say that Joe should win handily, 6-3 team against a 2-7. Looking at what ESPN is projecting, Lasky is 5-point underdog. Currently, it does not have a kicker. So if he were to plug in a kicker, okay, that's kind of interesting. The ESPN is projecting his kicker to have points, although his kicker is out. Is this like a COVID thing? Oh, it's a COVID thing. Oh yeah, he'll play. Okay, yeah. So the projection in the line is reliable.
Interesting. Yeah, I think this is going to be way closer than I want it to be. I easily foresee bad things in my future. I don't know. It'll be tight.
I think what your bad spot is here is the fact that the Cowboys just lost to the Broncos by like very embarrassing fashion at home.
Yep.
And they are in like the best spot. If you look at my bets that I've already made for this week, I have the Cowboys again on a butt ton of teasers.
That's probably good for me, though. Let's be real.
That's true. I could have bought you the fantasy win, but I really see like Dak and the Cowboys going for like 40 points.
No, yeah.
Like they're going to be angry. And I think that's like the catalyst for Lasky to win. If CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott don't don't go off for big points, I think you win here.
Yeah, I mean, I would like the same to be true for the Rams too, playing Monday night against San Francisco. Like if they bounce back and Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee both pop off. I mean, he had a down week in his terms, in his rights.
20.5, Joe? Jesus.
Yeah, it was soft. I mean, the past 3 weeks, he had 24.5, 37.
Oh my God, that was actually his third worst week.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 20.5 is his third. He's never scored less than 11, bro. Oh my goodness.
It's good stuff.
Alan, you got a feeling? Who do you think's going to win this one? Quick take, Joe or Lasky?
Lasky.
I think it's in Alan's contract that he can't say anything nice about me.
No, I mean, Joe, listen, I like your team, but I think the mashups of what your team has, the output that you're expecting, I don't think you're going to see it.
No?
That's all I'm saying.
All
I think
right.
Lasky has better matchups. I think Lasky wins this one. It's going to be close.
I give the edge to Joe, and I think he wins the whole thing if he plays Russell Wilson. All righty. So,
Joe,
moving on.
Do you think you win?
No, I don't. I'm just going to go about
That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Yeah. Next matchup is a matchup that I have very, very not that big of an interest in, and that is Nick versus Nate. I don't think it's anyone's surprise. I hope Nate wins this one.
I mean, right now he's a heavy 13-point favorite, 14-point favorite.
Yeah, I just don't know where the points come from. This on Nick's side is tough to see.
For Nick, he has to have he just needs a big Austin Eckler, Robert Woods, Debo, and Actually, I kind of see it. I think Travis Kelce and Robert Woods can both have like gigantic games. Same with Austin Eckler. Aaron Rodgers comes back angry this week, which I think he has a chance to. I think that's also a good shot. Deebo Samuel, I would not play this week. He's going to get killed. Alan, thoughts?
I like the general this week. I'm not surprised if Nick keeps it close.
Yeah,
I think that
that sounds about right. I'll go with general, but I wouldn't be shocked if like he just has duds across the board and Nick pulls it out again, which would be Nick's kind of like second win like that in a row.
I'm going with I'm going with the general. I like the spots better. Buffalo's in a bounce back spot. Las Vegas has KC at home, always plays tight. Aaron Jones had a bad week. He should bounce back. Lamar's Lamar. And I really just think Nick has bad matchups and bad spots. Debo's 49ers defense will get you negative points. Don't play that, Nick. All right. Moving on to Edwin versus Jacob here, the matchup of the
This one, prediction-wise, is heavily one-sided.
Well, he's got someone's on bye. David Johnson is on bye here.
On so we'd have to plug in
McKissick. Tough.
That's so gross.
That's not great.
I mean, if you need running backs, you know who to call. Hit the counter, folks.
Jacob, I would also really think about investing in in another tight end because my string of Pat Freiermuth overs on his yardage prop bets has to come to an end, and I bet that every week.
Wow.
So
I don't think it's going to. I think Freiermuth is eating those targets with Juju out. I think he's going to continue.
Well, man, I'd be happy to because Pat Freiermuth has already won me back the buy-in for this league. So if he continues to do that, I will be a very happy boy.
We need a documentary of just a day in the life of Neal's just absolute, just like ridiculous betting habits and just follow him around. That would be fascinating.
It's not good.
Like you're betting Freiermuth overs every week. Jesus Christ.
My favorite prop bets are overs for like lower tier tight ends and wide receivers because the number, the line is always low. It's like 23 and a half, 15 and a half. Like to me that's way more fun than betting like, oh, will Robert Woods get more than 85 and a half? That's no fun. Like that's like, yeah, maybe 50-50, but like, will Pat Freiermuth get more than 23 and a half? That's spicy. I like that. I don't know.
One day our podcast will be big enough where you influence the lines for Pat Freiermuth overs.
Oh, that's the dream. I think a good like if we were to like serialize this pod, like a good second show would just be me and Nate talking about all the money we lose.
I would like to see it.
Alan, maybe you can join that too if you sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook that's now live in Connecticut. Please use code NC10, get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Just putting it out there. All right.
I mean, I said earlier, I think if Jacob gets a running back, this game is interesting. I think Edwin takes this just on matchups alone.
Yeah, I agree. If David Johnson is strictly swapped out for J.D. McKissick, I think that Edwin takes this game pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, Joe Mixon's out. Maybe not actually. Edwin has been very hard riding Joe Mixon. That actually makes me less confident. That's a pick 'em for me. I don't know. I don't feel confident about that. Awesome. Joe, who do you think is going to win that one?
Gross. I guess Edwin, but I'd just be worried about Denver just shitting the bed.
Always. Dude, Melvin Gordon, I feel like has just gotten a touchdown in like every game to like save his butt. Oh, no, just the last 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, because he's been bad other than that. Yeah, duh. Okay. Last matchup, Diego versus Brendan. The matchup of the music heads, I guess you could say. Is Diego big into music or is it just content?
This is like the ethereal matchup of the week. Like this is for like the real ones, like the guys wearing like the Grateful Dead t-shirts. Like this is your matchup.
Very true. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. This is the one they want.
Mm-hmm.
The guys in the trenches.
The trenches. That's right. The trenches in the war on Christmas.
I think Brendan, now that Lenny is back.
I mean, I don't think it happens. I think Diego is going to win this one.
Oh, I thought Alan was just going to come out swinging with. I don't think it happens. I think we need to reserve the sanctity of Christmas here in America.
Nah, I think Diego, for as bad as his bench is, and running with the Patriots offense on a questionable stack of them, The tough thing about Brendan's team is that I think for name recognition, they should be producing a little more than what they have been. And I think Diego's guys are going to go off.
Does Kyler Murray play? Is he going to play?
No, I don't think Kyler Murray is going
I
to.
don't think so.
He could, but I don't think so.
If it's Wentz, dude, Wentz is such a coin flip. He's essentially like freaking Two-Face from Batman.
Right.
You have no idea what guy you're going to get here.
Right. I think Brady's going to carry. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to do well. I think Damian Harris will get a touchdown. Mike Evans is going to feast. Yanu, Patriots D, Jacoby Myers. I like the matchup, but I also am concerned about the matchup.
Didn't the Browns pop off last week? I don't know if I'd start the Pats D here.
They did, yes. Yeah. So
the way I look at Diego's team is I quite frankly just look at who the Pats are playing, Tampa Bay is playing. Washington has a pretty bad defense, great matchup. Apparently Tom Brady and Mike Evans hook up for a touchdown every fucking game. So that's a bad stack. Cleveland actually, in terms of their defense, they're not that bad actually. Yeah, I still think Diego wins though, because Brendan's just kind of rough.
Searching for answers. Yeah, I think Diego makes it 4
Edmonds.
straight. And it's pretty scary that he's been doing it with these Patriots players and the Pats haven't been exemplary. So if they get there, watch out.
I go with
Even
Diego.
though I voted for Diego, what I will say is that if Diego loses here and ruins the streak, right, it comes down to the Patriot players.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I just can't even
okay
imagine
with,
if my team was out here starting Jacoby Myers, I would just be getting spanked, and he's just getting bailed out by Jonathan Taylor.
Dude,
he's been riding on the coattails of Jamar Chase for the past 8 weeks, and now we're going to see what his team is.
Truly riding on those coattails of Jamar Chase.
Evans and Jamar Chase
perpetuating
with
BDE
Tom Brady
playing Jacoby Myers as just a paperweight.
Last 2 weeks, Jamar Chase 13-8, so it's not like he's been popping off a ton.
Yeah, he has taken a little fall from grace, but I still think, his overall production and ranking, he's up there.
Yep. Alrighty. So it looks like, we have our predictions for next week. Everyone, any other final points? Joe, Alan, anything you want to say before we let the people go?
We got some pretty big matchups this week, so good luck to everybody. Hopefully the people who are riding are going to ride, and the people who we need to lose are going to take that L. So good luck.
Joe? No, I think that's it for me. I had fun on the waiver wire this week. Looking forward to the matchups. I think you two playing each other is going to be really good. And then I'm super interested in the Diego-Brendan matchup here at the end.
I'm always super interested in Diego in general. So awesome. All right, everyone. Set your lineups. Prepare your bodies. It's week 10. Let's go.
Cool.